You can. Oh, you look so cute, Mom. And we are live. You look so cute. Good morning. I see y'all coming in. You look so cute. Good morning. Good morning. I see y'all coming in. Good morning, Hoop Love. How you doing? Good morning. Mom, you can say good morning.
Good morning.
She's so cute. You can say good morning. Good morning. Yes, don't my mom look good? She's showing her little Delta mug. Look. She's a Delta. I know. She's showing her little Delta mug. Good morning. Good morning. I'm sorry I'm late, y'all. Good morning. Good morning. Yes. I see y'all coming in. I know. I'll tell you about her in this Delta mug in a minute and what she's trying to do. Good morning. Hey, I see y'all coming in. Hey, Creasy, I see y'all coming in. Y'all go share the video live right now. I think this video is just essential. Thank you, Hoop Love. Thank you for saying I look beautiful and my mom looks beautiful. This is what I'm going to look like at 64. So I'm super excited. Every time I look at her, it reminds me of God's goodness in age and in time. That's what I just keep telling myself. Good morning. I see y'all. Go share the video right now. Yes, our special, she's already dropping information. Let me get started for today. I'm sorry, I'm posting things to my other page. Today is a very special Saturday. You guys know Saturdays are my special guests. So good morning, welcome to Coffee and Conversation. I am LaKisha Johnson. But before we get started with my special guest today, what I want to do first is share the scripture that I have for you today. And the scripture that I have for you today comes from Psalms 34:18. And it says, "The Lord is close to the brokenhearted. He rescues those whose spirits are crushed." Today, I wanted to do a very special episode today on grief and depression, especially during the holidays. And I thought it was only befitting my mother, who is a licensed professional counselor and has been for over 35 years.
Yes.
For over 35 years, that I brought her in to do this session with me. What I noticed was that there were several different people on my personal timeline talking about giving up, feeling hopeless. And I wanted to be able to offer some hope today, because I know that's the assignment of the enemy. Like, if he can get you confused, if he can get you outside of yourself, if he can get you in a position or a place where you're not feeling it, where you want to give up, where you want to feel where you're feeling destitute, then that's exactly what he wants to do. And sometimes for us, especially us that are Christians, we want to hold strong to our faith. And I'm cool. I want you to hold strong to your faith. But sometimes you need some outside help. Somebody to help navigate you through this process. I'm gonna introduce you to my mom. We're gonna get right into this session, but I want to share a little bit of my own story. I know for a fact there are 2 times in my life in which I've been depressed. The first time that I was depressed, I think I was younger and I just had my first son. I think I was suffering from postpartum depression. I had some things going on where I promise you I did not really want to be here on this side of the earth. I was confused. I was brokenhearted. I was disappointed in myself. And I don't even think I really shared those things with my mom. And I had gotten to the point where I even really wanted to take my own life. That was the first incident. The second incident where I know I was really depressed was after I lost my husband. But the good thing and the difference between time 1 and 2 was that I was already in counseling. I was already getting help, and there was someone that was available to be able to talk me through this process. So I was very grateful for the opportunity to be able to have someone to help navigate. That's what I think counselors are, navigators. So now let me introduce you to my mother. This is Jannie Cotton. She is the CEO of Professional Counseling Associates. And we're going to talk to you a little bit about grief and depression. So, Mom, say hi.
Good morning, everybody. I just saw John McAllister, one
You
of
can
my
say hi to him.
mentees that
You
worked
can
for
say
me at Stepping Stone and Centers for Youth and Families. And so, hey, John.
Okay, so she gets to say hi. Just give him a little bit of your background first.
Okay. First of all, I'm very grateful to be here. This is a time of the year that we all have shared something in our lives that have caused us to feel hopeless or become depressed if we allow the enemy to attack. So I went into the field of mental health because I saw many people around me and many church people. We were taught to just pray, take it to God. And so I saw those things, and development of faith is great, but I found out that it took more than that. And so God had already shown me what my calling was. I started teaching school, but I was beyond teaching school. I needed to teach in a different magnitude to express, to show African American people especially that with faith you take action. And a part of action is finding your own limit and understanding that. And so I went into mental health, worked at an orphan home, ran an emergency shelter for 13 years.
I remember you worked at the orphan home. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yes, I worked at the orphan home, and that was the
home.
beginning of God showing me my own gifts and talents that he had given me. And I have an ear for listening and a heart that is very passionate. And so I knew that that was my calling.
So that's why you chose mental health. Yeah. And mental health is a very special field. Sometimes when I'm out, because you've done what you've done so long, I've remembered, I always say, oh, mental health is real when I come encounter with somebody, just because I know. So I want to start, this is the holiday season, and people think that grief in the holiday season is abnormal. Is grief abnormal during the holiday season?
Grief is not abnormal at any time, and it gets heightened in the holiday season because you remember all of the things that you did with the person you love that you lost. And so you have to figure a new beginning. Because say, for instance, we'll just say Grandpa cut off the turkey, and he did certain things on Thanksgiving or Christmas, or we had family members that used to come and sing to us in the hood every Christmas morning and wake them up. And so when they depart, you go into almost a shock syndrome because you now have to decide what is that new beginning without the people that you are used to that set the pattern for your family.
That's good. So then the holiday brings about triggers.
Oh, it triggers it because holidays are when you celebrate with family. Whether you argued with them, debated with them, loved on them, we know that it also brings stress and grief because people argue a lot at the holidays, and a lot of people don't know that because you're usually with your own family, but then you go getting with other people and you start talking about politics, the people in the family that didn't come to the reunion, the people that ain't doing nothing or taking care of somebody, and so it brings about a lot of emotions.
Okay, that's good. And it's funny because you would think if a person wasn't there for you to argue with, that would be a good thing. But even those arguments are significant to the relationship with your person. And so that's the key thing that my mom brought up right there, were the triggers during the holiday season. The holiday season is going to re-trigger. And I remember when Jermaine first died, I didn't want to get out the bed because he carved the turkey. I did not want to get out of the bed. As a matter of fact, we went down to Javen's for Thanksgiving, and I remember you called because you didn't go with us for Thanksgiving. And you called and you were like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm in the bed. And you were like, no, ma'am, you've got to get up out that bed. And I literally stayed in the bed all day Thanksgiving. I just didn't want to connect the holiday because the holidays were so big in our house. They were such a big deal. And for me, there was a hole and there was a gap. So we said that grief is not abnormal. There are triggers during the holiday. So what do you suggest for someone? Because we're going to get into this thing about depression. I want to talk about depression too, because I don't think people and depression outside of grief. What do you suggest to someone who is dealing with grief during the holiday season?
So first of all, I want to start out because you have to recognize the grief. So let me give you some stages of grief.
Good. Okay.
People have to recognize that grief has a process. It's just like death has a process.
That's good.
There are stages of grief that you go through. And I want to tell you about the first stage, shock and denial. So you're shocked. You're denying that this is happening to you, even if it's an accident, or even if you were prepared knowing that in 2 weeks or 5 days someone was leaving. You are literally in shock because you cannot believe that this is happening to you. You see it all around you in the world. Then you start denying it.
Wow.
No. God, you said this.
Yeah.
No, God, you told me that you would give us an abundant life in 70 plus years,
Yes.
and then you just lost someone that's 30 or 40 or even 21 or whatever, and so
Yes.
you go into shock and denial. And a part of that is avoidance, confusion,
Wow.
fear develops.
Okay.
You develop fear, and then you become numbness. Then you start blaming.
Wow.
And most people blame God.
Yeah, I
Or-
did. I didn't blame him, but I was pissed off. I didn't talk to him for 6 months. People thought, I'm going to tell
Oh,
you.
yeah, that's another step.
Man, I didn't talk to God. Like, people thought I was still going to church and doing things, but I was pissed off at God. I didn't want to have a conversation with him because I felt like he had set me up.
Well, you
Like, I felt like I had been set
you
up.
grow up in faith.
Yes.
And so when the word that you have studied in the Bible tells you one thing,
Yes.
but something else occurs,
Yes.
then you go through the second stage of grief, which is anger.
Yes.
I tell people, sometimes I'm at my highest festivity.
Yes.
So at your highest festivity, you are figuring out who to blame on this.
That's good.
You either start blaming the doctor, they didn't give him his medicine right,
Yes.
or the nurse. Everybody start blaming somebody else so that they don't have to deal with it internally.
That's real. That's
and
real.
so then you get frustrated and anxiousness occur. That's when
Wow.
the enemy step in because you're now vulnerable.
Oh, that's good.
You
And
are now
vulnerability
vulnerable.
puts you in a place. Vulnerability puts you in a place. That's when suicidal thoughts come. That's
Yes.
when you start getting outside yourself. That's when you start drinking. That's when you start looking for
let's
other,
talk about that.
Looking for
Yes.
other things.
Devices.
That's good.
It's
You look
other
at
devices.
devices that you're looking for. That's good. Talk about the devices.
Because you want to replace some things. And I want to tell people that alcohol stimulates a deeper depression in you.
Wow.
And so people don't know that it dries you up. It causes
Wow.
depression. And most people go to alcohol because I know I would drink a glass of wine and say, oh, I got to have a glass of wine. When
Yeah.
my baby sister passed 3 months ago, I went into depression because I couldn't figure it out. She had not been ill, and to get diagnosed with stage 4 cancer,
Yeah.
and
then leave us a month later.
yeah, like 6 weeks, she was gone.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so I'm like, wait a minute, what happened here? And so you start feeling, the third stage is depression and detachment. So what you did on that Thanksgiving Day was to detach yourself from reality.
I did for a long
And
time.
most
too.
people who grieve, especially during the holidays, they don't want to put anything up. They don't want to put anything that dealt with that person up.
And
like
this is the first time I put a Christmas tree up this year.
for 3 years.
Give me 5.
Yes.
You know your daughter.
And I
This
was
was the
just
first
like,
time I put a
that
Christmas
tree up
tree
for the children's
and
sake.
I wouldn't.
And so you have to go beyond yourself. But what I want you to know is while you're going through those stages, it is real.
It is.
And so we're going to talk about things that you can replace
That's good.
to do that. But the depression and detachment is real. You start detaching from people. You don't want to go to those parties. You don't want
That's
to
good.
anybody coming over your house. You want to sit on the couch, put a blanket on, watch your favorite
Wow.
movie, read a book, or do something. You just don't want people to bother you.
Yes.
You want to do that. And then you start bargaining. You have a dialogue and a bargaining where you start bargaining with God.
Yes.
And you start bargaining and reaching out to others. You want to tell somebody your story, but it's so painful and you just can't stop crying.
Man.
And so you pick a couple of people
that you want to attach
that you
to.
want to attach to explain your story and your pain.
What happens though if you don't have those people? There are people who are isolate themselves. There are people that really don't trust people with the story. So what happens to a person that does not have someone to reach out to?
You have to seek professional help.
Okay.
And our culture and our people don't believe in that because we were taught whatever happened in your house, stay in your house.
Baby.
And that has caused more depression in the African American community than anywhere else.
Wow.
Because Caucasians and other people seek
Help.
out help.
Yes.
That's one of the reasons I tell people that our children go to lockup, prison, and jail.
Wow.
Because we didn't seek alternatives for the problems that we were having. We reached out and started doing other things.
Wow.
And so one of those
Wow.
vices
Wow.
is to steal, to rob,
That's
to do
good.
those
That's
kinds of
good.
things instead
That's
of seeking
good.
help.
Wow.
So you have to seek help.
That's
it is
a different
okay
perspective.
because we are ethically bound to not tell anybody your story.
Yeah.
And so that's really a good thing. So if you don't want nobody to know your business, go to a therapist because they cannot tell it. They are sworn to secrecy and their ethics won't allow it. I'm telling you, it's the best thing you can do. When I got trained in the 80s to be a therapist, I had to go through group counseling and individual counseling so that I could see what was on the other side of the chair of me doing the therapy.
That's good. But I think also, too, seeing a counselor or a therapist gives you a neutral perspective.
It
like,
does.
even when I was depressed, I could have come to you.
Right.
But I needed a neutral perspective because you're still my mom and you carry me in your heart, and you'd have been trying to fix it from the perspective of a mother.
Oh, yeah, I tried to fix it for many times. I'm not going to lie. I wanted you to be
breaking
whole.
her heart. I know
It was a painful feeling for a mother to see their child or any loved one where you know through your counseling experience they're going through depression and separation and anxiety attacks. And so you always want to fix it.
And so you need a neutral. You're looking for a neutral. For me, the neutral perspective or having someone neutral in place made it easier for me to be able to have this dialogue and conversation, because there were even things that I needed to just share that just came from very intimate places. Because I'm so transparent, people think that I share everything, but I don't share everything. And my mother knows that.
That's your mask. People wear masks that you don't see. So I always tell them it's a blind spot.
It's to everyone.
Blind. And everybody think you just, woohoo, wonderful. And inside, you're very filled with pain. Your heart is breaking and aching. And so your persona to be joyful is fake.
That's good. That's the next thing that I wanted to bring it to, because one of the things that sometimes we have, we see strong people or people who are focused in the word, and people. It doesn't mean it's not my truth. It doesn't mean I'm not strong. It doesn't mean I'm not pushing past. But we don't know the level of pain, especially for leaders, pastors, people who are on the forefront, people who run nonprofits, CEOs of company. We have to push past a lot of times the pain that we're having. And it's something significant. You said a lot of times people think strong people don't need people. It does not mean that strong people don't need people. We've just learned, because of our position and because people don't allow us to be broken or transparent, we've learned how to mask it.
Because you're the strong person. Everybody see you, like everybody sees me. I have mentored so many people, and everybody sees me as this strong person who's always helping others, who got our act together and all of that. And they fail to see that you still are human, and that even though you are that strong warrior, you still have to have someone to nurture and to give in to you. Because people will tell me during the holidays, you have everything, so I don't know. I don't think you need to get anything or whatever.
But that means nothing.
That means nothing. And so it's the same thing with anything in your life, whether you're strong or not. I need to tell people statistically, CEOs, pastors, come
on, mama,
are the ones that go to become drug addicts and alcoholics.
Girl, you gonna make me throw my cup at you. Can you repeat that?
Yes, it's those people that are in leadership because of the stressors of your job tend to lean more. I have provided services for more people who are in leadership positions, police officers, pastors, school teachers, CEO. We have one of the highest rate of alcoholism than anybody that I call a common or a lay person who don't have those stressors on them.
Oh, but that is, to me, that's why your home base and the people around you, when you do things like I do, when you do things, you have to have people pouring into you. And last week I talked about don't pour from an empty cup. And I'm going to do a part 2 to that this Sunday on my Sunday Inspiration. You have to have people, like, once I shut Coffee and Conversations down, I'm no longer LMJ from Coffee and Conversations. I'm Judah and Josiah's mom. I'm Jannie's daughter. I'm in a different role, and I like a different life. And you know, like I know, you know my weak and my vulnerable spots. You know how I carry people. And so a lot of times we think the person that's the encourager doesn't need encouragement. And she just gave you the data. So that should let you know you need to have a little bit more compassion for especially your pastors who carry congregations with inside them. They have this home life going on that they're trying to balance between two.
Yes.
There has to be another level of compassion, because what you have is your leadership having these secret devices, and it's not necessarily that they want them. They're turning to the Lord, but they're looking for something else to help deal with the pain and the pressure of the things that they have. So let's shift into talking about depression a little bit and some of the signs of depression, because I think sometimes that people don't even realize that they're depressed.
Correct.
Does that make sense? Like, people don't realize that they're depressed. People don't even know that they're dealing with their depression. They think that they're normal. They think that what's going on with them. I realized that when I started seeing and really realizing the level of my depression was, I'm a really good mom, and I'm not trying to say that in boast. My mom will tell you that how intuitive I am to my kids, and I was not being intuitive. I was just kind of laying in the bed. I like to cook. I wasn't cooking. Like, all my normal things had gone out the door, and it really wasn't until Javen called me one day and was like, Mom, that's what woke me up. He called me and said, Mom, my brothers are just out there on their own. You're a better mother than this. And that's what shocked my system, kind of was my shake up. So tell me, what are some of the symptoms of depression? Because sometimes people don't even realize they're depressed. They think it's normal.
Yes. And so, first of all, you need to know if anything drastically change about you.
Okay.
Then that's starting to become a sign of depression. And so one part about that is you have a disruption in the things that you normally do. So let me talk about some of the changes. You change in your sleep habits. People think it's okay to have 3 or 4 hours of sleep. It is not.
Oh, wow.
You're supposed to have at least 6 to 8 hours, depending on your age range. Like now, I have to have 8 hours of sleep.
That's good.
I didn't have to have 8 hours of sleep when I was in my 30s and 40s. I was more active doing things. Now I recognize my own body. You have to recognize and be in tune with you.
Wow.
Like, I went to the hospital, as you guys know, been very ill for 3 weeks.
Wow.
And the hospitals didn't know what was going on with me. I said, somebody need to figure it out. I know my body.
Yes.
Changes in your sleep, changes in your appetite. So some people stop eating and some people overeat. If you start to notice that you're just constantly gaining weight and you're constantly feeding your face with sugary items, with sodas, with drinks and all those kinds of things, you need to pay attention to that, because you're probably going into a phase of depression because you're eating your way through something. So some people do it differently. Some people remove themselves, they don't eat.
Yes.
And some people just overindulge in food. Can't wait to put something in their mouth. Every time they're dealing with something, they're just eating.
Okay.
They're eating their way through it. Another thing is poor concentration.
Oh, wow.
If your mind is all over the place,
wow.
that means you have poor concentration and you can't focus on one thing or a couple of things that you're supposed to on your schedule. You may start out washing clothes. The next thing you know, you've gone over to some other kind of thing to do. Where you was focusing on that. It's poor concentration. You start reading a book and your mind develops into something else that happened 2 weeks ago. Or 3 weeks ago. And so you're not even concentrating on what you were supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be planning a lesson, or you're supposed to be teaching somebody, and you're sitting there while they're taking a test. You've drifted.
Yes.
And those are common things that people like, oh, wow, they just think it's normal. It's not normal. It's not normal. Poor concentration is not normal.
That you helped me with that, because I didn't know that part. But that has helped me even in some other things. So that's good. That just kind of threw me off. Poor concentration.
Making decisions. If it takes you forever to make a decision, you procrastinate. You just keep putting things off. You are probably developing depression from something going on in your life. You should be able to make decisions. You do pray about things. You do take your time.
Yes.
But it shouldn't take forever to make a decision.
That's good.
And if it takes you forever, you're starting to develop some things. The other thing is loss of energy.
Okay.
If you just want to sit around and not do absolutely anything, that is not normal. You can do that when you're taking respite. We all have to rest, but that should not be your normal.
Okay.
And so you have to decide, what is it that's causing your loss of energy?
Wow.
And so, most depressed people don't want to get out of bed.
Correct.
Like they take forever. They're in bed all day, and
Yes.
if somebody, girl, what you doing? I can't get up. I'm in bed.
That's good.
You're just always in bed. The other thing is lack of interest. You don't want to do anything.
Okay.
You don't want to do anything. That is not normal.
Yes.
And respite is normal, but to a certain degree. If you find yourself doing the same things for a long period of time, I always tell people, if you go past 3 or 4 days,
Yes. With some
with repetitiveness
Okay.
and disengaging with
Yes.
things,
Yes.
you are depressed.
Oh, wow.
And
You're
you can
helping
get
me.
yourself out of depression if it only lasts for a few days. If it starts going into a week, 2
Yes.
weeks, and a month, you need help. You need
Okay.
professional help because you have already shown that you're not able to do that yourself. Low self-esteem. A lot of times people don't notice that. When you're depressed, you make poor decisions.
Wow.
Low self-esteem. You don't think well of yourself. You don't think you look right.
Wow.
Nothing you do is right. You think the people could be talking about somebody else and you think they're talking about you.
So you're suspicious.
So you're suspicious
Oh,
and
wow.
paranoid.
Yes.
Thinking all of those kinds of things. And
Yeah.
so you have to be really, really cautious about that. So all of the things I'm saying doesn't happen to everybody to that degree, but if your mood changes, if your activity changes,
What about
if you're
hopelessness or guilt?
Yes,
What about
and
hopelessness
I
or
was
guilt?
that was my next two.
Okay.
Then there becomes hopelessness. Nothing is right.
Okay.
Everything you see happening is negative.
Wow.
You have no desire. You don't see. If you can't pay your bills, this is the one I see in counseling all the time.
Wow.
You can't pay your bills. Your friends buying all of this stuff.
Yes.
Yesterday, I had a new Brahmin. I'll give you an example. And some people said, oh, wow, I can't afford that. That's a $500 purse, and I can't ever get anything. And their whole demeanor changed.
Just based on seeing what you have.
Seeing what somebody else have, and you can't get it.
But they don't know your backstory.
They don't know your backstory.
They don't know how much long you went without.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the lady was like really depressed. I can't even afford that. I can't get my kids anything. Let me speak on that right quick because it's almost Christmas. This is what we deal with at the month of December with hopelessness. When people can't buy their kids things
I brought that up.
or buy themselves
Yes.
something, they get into what I call a funk.
Yes.
And nothing goes right, and they're pissed off at the world
Yes.
because they're trying to figure out, and that's when people start stealing.
Wow.
Stealing increase at Christmas
Or
time.
compromising themselves.
They compromise themselves because the thing is, we're going to get our kids something.
Wow.
And so we see a lot of that happening during the holidays. We see a lot of hopelessness. Our homeless people that we work with, this is when they really come out.
Okay.
And so it causes other issues. The other thing, you got to move for change.
Wow.
You've got to decide, I got to get up from here.
Yeah.
If you can't do it on your own, you need to seek counseling. It
What
is
about
not
being
normal.
increasingly aggravated? Like, what about people who get aggravated easily with people who love them? Is that a part of it?
Yes, that's a part of that depression because loved ones know you more than anybody.
Yeah.
And so you don't want them recognizing your pitfalls.
Wow.
And so you become agitated and nothing they say, even if they said, oh, Keisha, you got this beautiful so-and-so. She just said that.
Yeah.
She didn't really mean that.
That's good. That's real.
And so you take every little compliment to a negative degree because you don't want to hear it.
Yes.
And they could just have said, oh, Keisha, oh, do you ever wear your hair pulled back because you look better that way?
Well, what's wrong with my hair
What's
down?
wrong with my hair down?
Yeah.
Or you look good today. Well, didn't I look good the other day too?
Yeah, everything turns into something else.
Everything turns into something
That's
negative
good.
and stuff. And so it's recognizing when you cannot help yourself is the key factor.
That's real.
Stay prayerful.
Yep.
Pray yourself. I always
Yes.
tell everybody, other people praying for you is a good thing for confirmation, but you should be able to pray for yourself. If you are of faith, God has already given you the authority and power to pray over your own life.
Yep.
When you feel like you can't, just say, have mercy. Father, I'm at this point in my life. I can't do it by myself.
Yep.
I know I can't.
Yep.
I know I have you,
Yep.
but I need an earthly person.
Yep.
God has counselors and pastors and people on this earth
Yep.
to assist you.
That's
So
good.
everything else that you get assistance with, you may also. You cannot disconnect the mental aspect of your body from the physical body. The
Oh, that's
mental
good.
body regulates the physical body. So if your mental capacity is not good, your physical body will suffer.
Will suffer from it. That's good. We're almost out of time. And if we'll take a couple of questions if there's anybody on here that wants a couple of questions. So y'all know that my thing is always make it personal. And 3 months ago we lost my aunt and my mom lost her sister. This was a very difficult holiday for us.
Yes.
It was a very weird holiday. And I think we did something that we shouldn't have did. Like, I think we should have all came together as a family as a whole, and everybody was in their own homes.
Did nobody want to deal with it?
Nobody wanted to deal with it during the holiday.
With her absenteeism, and so everybody just clumped around in their own little spot.
Yeah, and
you find yourself moping.
We moped, like we ate.
Because Keisha cooked the bomb. And you ate, but then it was like that piece of you saying, wait a minute, something ain't right here.
We moped, and it actually sent me into something from that Thursday to that Sunday. It wasn't, I couldn't come out of it. Like, and then you were the exact same way. Like, and I think people think because we're so strong, or we're so faithful, and we're so blessed. Like, from Thursday to Sunday, like, I was in a funk, you were in a funk. Like, we were trying our best to not be. We were trying to hold on to what God said, but losing my aunt and a series of other things. Like, for me, in my head, I was like, come on, Lord. You know what I'm saying? Like, just one more thing. Like, do I have to endure one more thing? And it really wasn't until Sunday night that a lady felt led to call me, actually from Germany, and pray for me.
Right.
That it kind of set everything in order for me to get my oomph back. So to you, like, how did you push past that moment? Because I watched you.
Right.
And I knew it was hard. This was your sister, your labor of love.
Yes.
Your baby, your first
sister,
baby, your
yeah.
baby sister. How did you, as a therapist, because you're a therapist, and we can't often counsel ourselves, how did you as a therapist shift yourself out of this? Because I was watching you. You feel me? I was watching you externally, and I'm like, this is my mom, and I could tell the place you were in. How is a therapist? Like, what does that do for you as a person who's a therapist when the counselor needs the counselor?
Yeah.
Because that's when the counselor needs the counselor.
It's when the counselor needs the counselor. I sought another person that I knew could help me through the process.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't do it by myself.
Yes.
I'm very strong for others, and I'm usually strong myself.
Yes.
But losing my baby sister was the core of my being.
Yeah.
And I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
I was in denial.
Yeah.
And so, first of all, I had to go into a secret corner and pray.
Yeah.
I said, God, I'm at a weak spot. You already know it because you made me.
Yeah.
But I need you to show up.
Yeah.
And I need you to show up right now because I'm getting in this bad place that is not comfortable for me.
Yeah.
I wasn't in a comfort zone.
Yeah.
Because I'm not used to losing it at that aspect and not for that period of time. And I found myself and my sister Cheryl and I would call each other, we just crying.
Yes.
And then she'd check on me. And then when I got sick recently, it was like Keisha just started crying.
I did.
And I know it was emotions.
She put my business out there.
Well, they couldn't figure out what's going on with me.
Yeah.
And so that was like, and what's going on with me, most of you all know I'm a colon cancer survivor. And so the things that they found out was going on put us in a different place because now I've got to face another part of my life where something is not right with my body.
Correct.
And so my daughters now are dealing, but we're claiming by faith that I am healed, that I am whole.
Correct.
And so I still have to go to Jesus. And then I find a comforting spot with a friend or someone I trust so I can talk through. Because I don't like to burden my daughters with things. I'd rather leave them in a whole spot. So I say to each of you, when you need it, get it. It's worth it. And now I'm getting at a better place. But I do want to say this about grief. There's no magical moment.
Oh, tell them that. No magical number.
No magical number, no time frame or whatever. You have to work it out yourself. You start seeing progress. You will know when your progress starts. Don't let anyone determine that for you. What you do want people to guide you through the process. And the holidays are the worst time. And the first year is the worst year.
Yes.
Because that's the first year of every holiday, every birthday, every event occurs. And then it starts to move out of its spot. Some people quicker than others, some not. The second year, the third year. And then guess what? sometimes another death occurs before you even get through with the grief process that you're working through. So I would say stay prayerful.
Yes.
Stay in tune with your body.
Yes.
And seek guidance and help. Sometimes you got to have a little medication.
Oh, and we didn't even we're going to probably have to part to this because we're almost out of time.
Yes.
But sometimes you do need to get medicated, and it is not of God for you to have to go on, get off medication. And sometimes you have to get medication and go into a regimen of something that'll help uplift you till you get better. And we think you can seek the Holy Spirit on it or anything else, and he'll tell you, but sometimes meds have to be in place for you to help. We are almost out of time, Mama. Thank you for sharing that. I think even the part with the counselor, and I saw some people saying we're praying for your healing. We're definitely she talked about it, so now I can really talk about it. I didn't really talk about it the other day because I try to let her tell her story. I'm not gonna cry, but she knows what she means to me. And like she said, I fought so long for my husband. And then my aunt, this thing happened with my aunt. And then we get this report about you. And it's just like, okay, Lord, what next? And I had to take a stand. So I just had to say, you know what, God, I'm at the point where there's nothing I can do. It's all on you. This is my mother, and you already know how I feel about her, and you know I will go to war for her. But right now, this isn't on LaKisha. I need you more than I need you anything. And I wanted to say this real quick. When you said there was no time, my magical number finally hit like this December. That's when the Lord, this November to December, the Lord began to show me, you're finally out your grief, because things in my house that were not as clean and meticulous, I started rummaging through, picking up, and I said, how was this like this? And he was like, Lord, LaKisha, you're just really coming out your grief. I finally put up a Christmas tree this year. Yeah. Like I started doing all the things, connecting, being out more, doing more things for myself. And so God is faithful. Thank you guys for tuning in. My mom's organization is PCA, Professional Counseling Associates. In mental health in Arkansas, they have catchment areas, but you can definitely connect to them online, pca-ar.org, and then give them a call, and they can kind of tell you who's within your catchment area. Correct. So that you can get the services she needs. What areas do you service real quick?
I service Pulaski, Lonoke, and Prairie County.
Okay, good.
And adults and children from ages 3. I think my oldest client is 86 years old.
Yes.
I do want to, I don't know if I have a parting word.
Yep, you can get a parting word real quick.
Is, I confess every day, I will live and not die.
Yes.
So the battle is not over, and it's not mine, it's the Lord. And
correct.
So I am going to always stand on that word. I encourage each of you to stand on the word of God, seek help if you need it, and declare over your own authority correct. And body that God says something different, even if you get a bad report from the doctor. So be blessed. Love this holiday season. That's more than buying anything. Who cares? If you get something, you get it. But if you get love, some good food, and fellowship, you already have won.
Hey, share this video. Some people need to know that they're depressed. You have people connected to you that don't even know that they're depressed, or that they're beginning the beginning stages of depression, or people who are dealing with grief this holiday eve. I'm telling you, share it on your timeline. Drop the video. You never know who's watching, right, or who needs to connect to this, who needs to see what grief and depression looks like. We need to get somebody some further help. You can always inbox me. Log onto the website, LaKishaMJohnson.com. Hey, and I'm telling you, some things are going to move. I have a quick announcement. Everybody knows how I am about t-shirts, and God just gave me some different t-shirts. So our t-shirts are launching a little bit later today. So pay attention to my Facebook page and my Instagram. There'll be a special percentage off. And they're just t-shirts that help encourage me. And somebody said, why t-shirts? It's my walking billboard. My mom knows. She'd be like, can you put something else on besides a t-shirt? Put on some grown-up clothes somewhere. So my t-shirts are launching today. And they're just things to encourage you. Sometimes you can have the word and people will see it and say, what does that mean? So that's launching today. So we'll drop some information in the bottom of this in a little bit. I love you guys so much. Go be loved today. Don't forget, you need to subscribe to the YouTube channel to get Sunday's Inspiration. Sunday's Inspiration is going up tomorrow, and it's a part 2, right? It's a part 2 where I talked about you can't pour from an empty cup. Tomorrow I'm going to be talking about you can't pour from an empty cup, the partnership. A lot of times we're pouring from things, and there's there's a partnership that's connected to this. I love you guys so much.
Me too.
My mom does too. I'm so glad. Thank you, Mom. This is my
Mwah.
I love you guys so much. And I will see you back here Monday morning at 5 a.m. Invite somebody to come in. Love, you got to throw up the peace sign.
That's
peace.
my mama.
That's my mom.
Peace.
That's what you guys don't know. The peace came from my grandmother.
Yes.
Yeah. Love, peace, and blessings.